Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.
What's up, guys? This is Matt from flipweekly.com. You're listening to the Flip Weekly podcast, a weekly podcast coming out every single Thursday morning, and we talk about garage sales and thrifting. Our aim is to make money from reselling, from flipping, and this week, man, it was a big week. When I went to the post office on Monday, I could barely carry everything. I had, I think, 4 bags worth of parcels that I needed to get rid of. You know, I'm not organized. I don't take trolleys. I don't have somebody to come here to pick up the items. I go straight to the post office. I use their bags. I use their boxes. I pay more money, and that's because I'm extremely lazy. But this week, man, it's actually issue number 69 of the newsletter. This isn't issue number 69 of the podcast, so I have to apologize if you came here expecting some sort of, sexual innuendo throughout the podcast. I'm not going to do it. The newsletter is packed with it this week, but that's not happening. I'm here to be professional. I'm going to tell you about items that I bought. Yes, I bought a Thrustmaster. There's nothing sexual about it. It's a computer flight simulator type of accessory. There's some talk in the newsletter about tips and things like that. If you want some sexual innuendo, jump on over to the newsletter for issue number 69. We had to celebrate it, of course, but yeah, the podcast is not up to issue 69 yet, or podcast episode 69 yet. Maybe we'll throw a party or something when that happens. But yeah, massive week. I mean, some of the sales I had this week were in 4 or 5 hours. I was finding some items that I thought were going to sell quickly, and they sold quickly. So this episode, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about last week's secondhand opinions, which was controversial. Finally, a divisive poll. We had the audience actually against what I was saying, which I thought was interesting. I'm all for that sort of conversation, so I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to give you another reason to hate me when I tell you a bit about this little 7cm metal figurine that I found this week. I mean, once you see photos of it and you see the comps for it, you're going to absolutely hate me. Absolutely hate me. I want to talk about Disney Pixar Cars, a franchise that is worth so much money if you find the right items. There was actually a holy grail Disney Pixar Cars item that can easily be found in a thrift store. It can't, because it's rare, but you could see it being mixed in with other Cars items. So I'm going to tell you about that. And if you find it out in the wild, you're in for a payday. Thousands and thousands of dollars. And when you look at this thing, it does not look like it's worth thousands and thousands of dollars. I want to talk about a plush that I sold this week too, and the way that the plush market is going, because there's a craze right now that's taking over the world. It honestly is. It's like a $50 billion craze. I want to talk about that and how I don't understand it and I'm out of touch. And then I'm also going to give you, a few sneaky tips that you can use at this week's garage sales and thrift stores. So it's a big one. I'm here for it. And let's just get started right now with what I bought. Let's just get this out of the way, why you're going to hate me. Go onto the flipweekly.com newsletter, check out the image for what I'm about to tell you, because when you see the progression of what this thing is worth, you're just going to shake your head. So I was in a Salvo's the other day, and I came across this little metal figurine, 7 centimeters tall. It was in a plastic bag. It had a $3 price tag on it, and it must have been sitting there for a day or two. Nobody paid any attention to it. It's made out of pewter, which is, I think, some sort of combination of metal and some other material. I'm not too sure. The item just looks like a futuristic soldier holding a gun. Now, when I picked this guy up, the gun was like poking through the plastic bag. So it sort of like, gave me a little pinch, gave me a little stab in the finger. Thought it was okay, nothing to worry about. I looked this guy up just to see what it is. I could feel that he was heavy, and when figurines like are heavy, are usually, there's been some work put into this thing. I turned him over and I could see that the bottom had EA Arts on it, which is a gaming company, like a video game company that makes video games, Electronic Arts. You've probably heard the intro a million times. I mean, if you're a parent, you've probably heard your kids start up the video game console and you hear EA Sports or something like that. So I looked this guy up, and he is a like a futuristic soldier from an old video game called Command and Conquer Red Alert 2. I've never played this game. People love it. It's a nostalgic game for people. They think it's like a really good game. And this little metal figurine that I found was actually a character called what's this guy called? He's a Chrono Legionnaire. Means nothing to me. But he came with the game in a collector's edition bundle. So I guess when you bought this game and it was a collector's version, it came with this little metal figurine. And when you opened the box, it was either like this character, the Chrono Legionnaire, it was another one of the characters from the game. I think you could find like one of 4. So this was one of the 4. And yeah, only 10,000 copies of this collector's edition were made. And looking up the comps, this thing comps up for, get this, over $100. $102 was the last sale. The sale before that was $111. And they just go back and forth like that. I looked up on Reddit, which is, the town hall where people are talking about this game. There's a dedicated community that talk about this Red Alert 2 game. I saw that, people are talking about finding this, in their old bedrooms when they were a kid, whatever. And they'd all come back to the same thing. And this is what I started to notice. When I'm looking at the sold comps of this figure, the guns look different. So the $100, $102, $111 sales, they look a tiny bit different from my guy. And the thing that looks different was the very end of the gun. The thing that poked me in the finger when I first picked it up. It was like this add-on to the end of the gun. Picture like a rifle, and then picture like a bayonet being put into the end. It's essentially like that, but a futuristic version. So it looked like a ball with spikes, sort of put onto the end of the gun. I don't know what the fuck it is, but that's sort of what it looked like. It's the thing that pokes me. Looking on Reddit, all of the comments were saying that it's rare to find this figure with the end part on it because it easily broke off. Now, there's a couple of quotes here from Reddit. There's a Reddit user named Hatted Sandwich. Reddit users always have the best usernames. And this is what he said. They said, the unicorn is the Chrono Legionnaire. I found one years ago, but it's missing the prongs on his weapon. Haven't ever seen another that actually has those prongs. And then another user chimed in. The user, the Dub H, said, yeah, if they do have them, they are stupid expensive. Someone had a collector's edition and still had the Legionnaire. I asked if they had the prongs still and was honest and told them why. They did, and then the post was updated and sold before I even had a chance to make an offer. Last complete in damage one I saw went for nearly, and they say a price, about a year ago. So having this information, knowing that the end part of the gun is what makes this even more valuable, I look throughout the comps a bit more in detail, and I find a couple of sold listings where they mention that the gun is intact, and that's the version that I have. I don't have the $100 version. I have a version which had its last sold, and they don't come up often. It came up in March. I think I'm the only one with a current active listing of this complete with the intact gun, and and it was $376 with post. So they sold it for over $350. So this little 7cm metal figurine is listed up now by me for $300, and I paid $3 for it. 3 into 300. I mean, these are the type of returns that I live for and I love getting them. You know, I always talk about 1 into 100. I never really expected to get 3 into 300, especially on a figurine that is so small and so dainty, you know, like the end part I guess could easily break off, and that's what I'm worried about, is that I want this thing sold. I didn't list it up for 376 because I want it sort of out of here before I lose it or something happens to it, because it is so tiny that I didn't, you know, put it away, put it in storage. I'm keeping it like somewhere I can see it at all times, because I don't want to put it somewhere and it just like slips down or falls through a crack or breaks off, you know. So yeah, it's pretty insane to think about finding such a rare piece of sort of gaming history, or at least this game's history, in a thrift store for $3. And it's just sitting there, like they didn't bother to look it up. One look up, they would have seen at least $100 at least. If they were lucky, they might have seen the $300 sold that I was able to come across. But 3 into $300, I mean, do you hate me for this? I mean, this is a find that you just have to get lucky with, you know, like it's just sitting there and there's no hunting, there's no digging. It was just sitting on a shelf for $3. And yeah, I mean, you never know what you're going to find unless you go into a thrift store. So go in as many as you can and you might be able to find something like this. Now, next up is the Thrustmaster. Yes, the Thrustmaster. I saw it in a thrift in a Vinnie's. It was priced at, I think it was priced at $12 or $14. What was it? It was, I think it was 12. Yeah, came in a box. I instantly knew what it was when I saw it. You know, as somebody that's taken a single flight lesson, I knew what this was. I mean, I have taken a single flight lesson, but this is the controls for an Airbus. So an Airbus is a bit bigger plane than the fucking small Cessna that I flew in, but it's a Thrustmaster TCA Quadrant Airbus Edition. Now, all you need to know is that it is the thrust for an airplane, a big airplane. You know, you would have seen in movies where the pilots put their hand on the thrust and they push it from the back to the front, and the plane starts to move. There's a couple of switches on it, and there for the engines, but that doesn't matter, because yeah, when I saw this, I knew that it was going to be like a gaming simulator type item. And gaming simulator shit can sell for a lot of money. Now, you might not be all too familiar with gaming simulators, but I'm sure you might have heard of at least like Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's one of the earliest flight simulator games out there. You know, you used to get into a plane and use your mouse, or you get like a joystick to control the plane with your keyboard. It came out years ago, I think like very early 2000s, if not before. I remember playing it a few times and never being able to get the hang of it, because it was complicated. You know, I think there was different buttons for the gear and for all the flaps and shit, and it's come a long way now where, you know, you're not using your keyboard, you're using these full-on like thruster things that plug into your computer, or you can make it like a full-on setup where your desk looks like the inside of an Airbus, which is crazy. But with that said, the flight simulator, the Microsoft Flight Simulator, that I blame Microsoft Flight Simulator as like the sole reason why we have some of the simulated games that we have now. You know, we have games like Farming Simulator, where you pretend that you're fucking, you know, living on a farm. We have the most insane niched games for simulators. You know, there's Power Washing Simulator, where you are simulating yourself as somebody that's employed to wash driveways. There's Bee Simulator, where you're a bee and you have to go, you know, pick up the pollen or whatever. There's just the simulated genre is very interesting. I think the Flight Simulator at least it's somewhat educational in a way, and you know, it beats Bee Simulator. Who the fuck would want to play Bee Simulator? If you played Bee Simulator, let me know. Tell me if it's like a fun game. I know that people that play the Power Washing Simulator game find it therapeutic, because it's satisfying to go from something that looks dirty to something that looks clean. I mean, I would do that in real life. I wouldn't pretend to do it on a computer or in a game. If you want to clean something, get off your fucking ass and clean it. But I mean, if you get enjoyment out of it, cool. So I found this Thrustmaster, $12, and it sells brand new for about $200. So I opened it up in the store, and everything looked like it was in there. It looked almost brand new. They still had the original plastic and shit in it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this home. I think it's going to be worth a bit of money. The only thing that was missing from it was a single black screw, but you can easily you can go to Bunnings and buy individual screws and shit. So the new buyer would be able to do that. And I listed it up for $100 just because I had to mention, the missing screw. It's way underpriced. I wanted to, get it out quickly. The second-hand ones usually sell for about $120 to $150, so pricing it at $100 is perfect. And somebody's going to buy it. I listed it on Marketplace and on eBay. Marketplace within a few hours had somebody share it, so they would share it to some sort of simulator group, being like, "Oh, if anybody needs a new one, this one's going cheap." But that was cool. I thought I might have had it for a bit longer so I could play with it. It's sort of satisfying pretending you're a pilot with this Thrustmaster. I didn't have any other controls, so if I did play a flight simulator game, I'd just be able to make the plane go forwards and backwards. I wouldn't be able to take off. I'd just be taxiing the runway the entire time, just forwards and backwards. But someone's going to get enjoyment out of it. They don't have to pay the brand new $160, $200 prices. And I'm not too sure why the thrift store only priced it $12. Maybe because they couldn't test it. Maybe they thought it was just like a toy. It didn't have electronics. They didn't know that it was like video game related. Because I'm sure if it was video game related, it'd be behind the counter, just like everything else. So I was happy about that. And yeah, if you need to keep an eye out for these sort of simulator type things. You'll find steering wheels, you'll find joysticks, you'll find pedals. Always look them up because they can be worth a bit of money. The really good ones, the more controls they have, the better. You just got to make sure that it works, and you can test them out on most computers now. Just chuck it in, plug it in, and test it out. Google how to test it out. There's video game testing things built into most computers now, just to make sure all the buttons work. So it's really easy. It's really straightforward. But like this one, if it's brand new, you don't need to do that much testing, but just make sure that it works. You don't want to return. And next is a DVD series. It's a franchise, right? It's the Twilight franchise, but this one is pretty cool. It's called Twilight Forever, and I found it in a thrift, $15. Has all of the movies in it, but what is cool is that sort of like a collector's edition where it comes inside this Twilight photo album. It was released 5 years ago, and I found it for $15. Like I said, it has the photo album, and the discs are slipped inside of the photo album, and it's inside of a slipcase. So it's been priced based on the amount of discs. I think it had 10 discs, and it was priced $15. Work out the maths. But this is something that a lot of Twilight fans are after, because they love the photo book, the photo album. It's something to display. And I've talked about Twilight before, where you can get a very specific book from the Twilight series that can sell. I think it was $150. I had a reader/listener find the exact same one before, and they were able to sell it. I think they were able to sell it. It's worth at least $150. But yeah, anything Twilight sort of special edition is really, 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 really good. It's a good find. This I thought was the DVD version, but I brought it home, and there's a difference between the DVD version and the Blu-ray version. The Blu-ray is 10 discs, the DVD is 12 discs. This was, like I said, released 5 years ago. There isn't that many available on eBay, even less so in Australia. So I've listed mine up for $100. It should sell quickly. It's already got people watching it, and I think that Twilight is a really good franchise to look out for when it comes to things that are a bit different. You have the standard Twilight books, but then you have different ones. The box set, if they're if they're this special edition, they'll sell for $150. Go back through the past issues of the Flip Weekly newsletter and you'll be able to see me mention Twilight. It's the title of an issue. It's like this Twilight box set will sell for $150. You'll be able to find it on the website. Just click on past issues. It was before the podcast, so you won't be able to hear me talk about it. But yeah, Twilight is something that you just want to pay a bit more attention to, just to see if it's going to be different. You know, it's the standard DVD you're not going to get much for, but or like if it's a bit different, look it up. You'll find that you'll be able to sell it for more money, like I am with this Blu-ray. And the next item is something I have told you guys before on the Flip Weekly newsletter. Go back to Flip Weekly issue number 22. And in that issue, it's titled, "Look for these buildings in puzzles, ornaments, and decorative items to triple your money." And you know what? If you heeded my advice, you would have found this puzzle yourself. Yes, it's a puzzle. My worst fucking category, but you know, it must have been a good find if I picked it up, right? It's my most despised category, but I bought this thing. It's priced at $8. It's a jigsaw puzzle. It's by a company called the New York Puzzle Company. And this series that they've done, it showcases covers of the New Yorker magazine all throughout the years. Collectible because of the artwork. Most people seem to like this company in the jigsaw puzzle world for whatever reason. But the name of this puzzle is called Setting Sail, and the artwork is done by an artist called Arthur Getz. The artwork it looks like watercolor or some sort of sketch, and it's from the cover of the New Yorker on July 1982, and it is of the Twin Towers. The Twin Towers surrounded by what looks, I guess, the Hudson with a sailboat, but in the background is the Twin Towers, and that is what drew my eye to it. Like I said back on that issue number 22, look for these buildings in puzzles, ornaments, and decorative items to triple your money. Back then in issue 22, I found a snow globe that had the Twin Towers in it. It was a like a souvenir snow globe that somebody bought in New York City pre 9/11, and it had the Twin Towers. And I ended up looking that up online, and it sold for hundreds of dollars. Sold it locally at the time. That's because there is a collector's market for things featuring the Twin Towers, because obviously they don't exist anymore. So this puzzle, I couldn't find much about in the thrift. It was $8, and I was like, you know what? It's brand new and sealed. I'm just going to take a flyer on it because it's the Twin Towers, and I've done well with it before. Yeah, I got home, and I could do a bit more research into it, and the past sale was like $75. There was no active listings. I think there was two sales. There was one for like $60 and one for $80. You know, this one was brand new, factory sealed, and I was like, I'll chuck it up for $100, see what happens. $8 into $100, and it's because of the Twin Towers, man. Like, I do not know who the collector is. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they have a soft spot for the Twin Towers. Maybe they have some sort of connection to it. I'm just picturing, when people are obsessed with like a random animal, like, oh, this is the cat lady, and they have cats everywhere, or this is the chicken lady, she loves chickens. If there's a Twin Towers man that just, you walk into their home and there's the Twin Towers everywhere, it's a tad unusual. But who are we to shame somebody's interests, right? Like, we don't do that here. But yeah, the Twin Towers, when I find something in a thrift store, or when I spot something and it looks like New York, it's so bad, but I'm always hoping, like, I hope it is like pre 9/11, because you make money from it. It's time for some second-hand opinions. Now, I have the results for last week's poll for you. Last week I asked you, do thrift stores have a responsibility to keep prices low? Now, the results are yes, with 60% of the vote. That means the majority of you, or at least the majority of you that engaged with the poll, say that yes, thrift stores have a responsibility to keep prices low. Now, if you listen to last week's podcast, you will know that I disagree with that. I think they don't have a responsibility to keep prices low in their stores. I think their responsibility is to the community and the other programs that they're running. They fund those programs through the sale of the items from the thrift store. And with that in mind, their goal is to raise as much money as possible, and that means that the prices have to be a bit higher than keeping them really, really low. But that's okay. It's okay to have a disagreement. I'm actually happy that we have a poll that's a bit, contentious, as opposed to the polls from the past few weeks, which have been very one-sided. So I'm happy. I'm really happy with that. For this week, we have a new topic. I don't think this will have too much debate, but I find it genuinely interesting, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. This week's topic is, would you still thrift if there was no money in it? Now, for me, before starting Flip Weekly, the last time I stepped into a thrift store was when I was a child. So you will know from the podcast that I grew up with a single mom, and she was raising me and my two sisters, 3 kids in total. We didn't have much money, so thrift stores definitely helped us out, and they helped us out with, food and grocery vouchers, things like that. And back then, I didn't have any idea that people actually resold items from thrift stores. I'm sure they did back then. Probably wasn't as popular. You didn't have YouTube and people giving it a platform. But these days, I'm obviously in a thrift store at least once a week. I'm making side hustle money, and I'm keeping myself fed through it. But it really got me thinking that, would I still thrift if I wasn't making any income from it? And the answer would be, honestly, that I probably would not be doing it. Now, I'll tell you why. I'm not someone who buys much for myself. I think in the past 18 months of garage sales and thrifting, I've bought maybe one thing for myself because I liked it, and it was a t-shirt, of all things. I would say that I'd like to thrift for clothes and for shoes, but I'm picky, and the odds of finding something that I like and in my size, like a slim, the odds are not in my favor. So without the money side involved, I would think, what's the point? I do enjoy finding like the rarer items and the interesting items, but the thrill of that doesn't happen enough to justify the time that I would spend doing it. And I mean, if I wanted to see that sort of cool stuff, I'd just go to like a collector con or like a museum where I'm guaranteed to find it, because that's the entire point of it. So that said, I wouldn't write it off completely. The past 18 months or whatever of regularly visiting op shops and thrift stores, I've realized just how overpriced retail stores can be, especially, when they're selling brand new items. So say a friend's birthday was coming up and they're into fantasy books, and you could buy a Game of Thrones box set or a Harry Potter box set at Dimmicks, a bookstore, for like $100. That's honestly what they're charging in bookstores now. Or you could grab it from a thrift store for like 15 to 20 bucks. So I guess my answer is, if I couldn't make money from thrifting, the only reason I would go would be to save money, if that makes sense. But I pose the question to you, what about you? Would you still thrift if there was no money involved? Let's get into some sales now, and what a big week we had. I think it was because the month has ended, or the month just ended, and people are getting their paychecks. So they're spending it on this first item. People are getting paid. They're spending it on $200 Ice Age figures. That's right. The very first sale was a bunch of action figures from the animated movie franchise called Ice Age. There was 4 figures that I found. Each were individually priced. I think they were like $3 each, and one of them was $5. Does that mass add up? 3, 6, 9, 4, 5, yeah, $14. $14 I spent in total, and that's gone on to sell for $200. Like I said, they're Ice Age figures. We have Sid, Scrat, Diego, and Manny. A whole bunch of characters that are trying to survive the Ice Age, and it's gone off to America. So the person has had to pay shipping on top of it, and the shipping on top was like, shipping and taxes was like an extra $100. So this person has spent almost $300 on Ice Age figures. Crazy to me. I'm always hunting, old action figures, the old stuff, like Masters of the Universe. What else is back then? Even a bit more modern, like Small Soldiers, TMNT, G.I. Joe, that sort of stuff. Who would have guessed that the money is in pretty recent Ice Age. These were only from 2012, and they somehow were able to go for $200. I don't know whether they weren't very popular. I mean, the franchise made like $5 billion. I think there's a new one coming out. They made, I mean, this is from Ice Age 4, so they made at least 4 movies, right? They made video games, they made all the merchandise and the figures. So why this goes for so much, I don't know. I just know that, keep an eye out for Ice Age. The characters find that easy to recognize. The main character, the sloth guy, he looks so fucking dopey. His eyes are so far apart. There's the little like squirrel / saber tooth thing. I find that anyone who's been around for the past like 13 years would know Ice Age figures if they saw them. But either way, look for those articulated figures that can be moved, and you can always tell like a good figure just by picking it up and holding it, seeing if it's well made. You always see like those Marvel big, tall, like weightless action figures in thrift stores, and they're worth nothing. But the more detail and obviously the more they're going to go for, like in theory. But yeah, these went for $200. And the buyer paid $78.88 in shipping and taxes. So $300 for these things. Don't think that the only money in action figures is like 1970s Star Wars or the early 80s Transformers, because this just proves that Ice Age 4 is where the money is at. Oh god. But now to a sale that is from this week. It's the Thrustmaster. The Thrustmaster has sold. It sold in less than 24 hours, and it's going somewhere local here. It was $12 into $100. Gone in 5 hours, so not even enough time for me to play with it. Yeah, those simulator type accessories that you find in thrift stores, you want to be keeping an eye out for them. And you know what? Another thing that was fucking too easy was the New Yorker Twin Towers jigsaw puzzle. That sold in 9 hours. I took a best offer of $80. I had it on for $100. It was like 1 a.m. in the morning, and I got a best offer for $80. And I clicked on the user's profile, just thinking like, is it someone in Australia that's buying it at 1 a.m.? And the buyer said that the location was China. So I was like, okay, I'll take $80 because then they have to pay postage on top of it. I'm not doing free post like I would usually within Australia, but the guy had it shipped somewhere in Australia, which was a bit annoying because the reason I bought it was because I thought I was going to get that post on top. No worries, it doesn't matter. It's still 8 into $80, and Twin Tower shit is just out the door so quickly. Yeah, if you spot New York in a thrift store, look for those 2 fucking towers. Now the next 2 items are a category that some people ignore, but you really shouldn't. So the first one is, I'm just going to read the title to you, and then I'm going to explain what it is. The title is a Supercell Brawl Stars Rare Spike Plush Limited Edition. I might have talked about this before. It looks like a cactus. This rings a bell. I think I've told you about it. I got it in a thrift for $8. It looks like a cactus. It's from a mobile game or from a video game. It's just a plush toy. He has some eyes. He has the Aladdin vest. And he sold for $169 plus postage. He's off to the US just for a plush toy. Something about him that makes him rare. And the other plush toy that I sold, I'm just going to read the title to you, and then I'll explain what it is. Pokemon Center Kyoto Limited Pikachu Plush Tea Party Kimono, brand new with tag. So it's a keychain item. It has its original tag on it. It's Pikachu dressed in a kimono, and he is holding she is holding, I think this is like a girl Pikachu, is holding fruits and some tea. So this thing is really small. Like I said, it's a keychain, so it's not much bigger than what, like 15 centimeters. And yeah, somebody has ended up buying it within Australia. People like me, I think, who is buying this? Who is buying either of these plush items? I don't really understand it, but we need to see where the market is heading. I'm going to fill you in. Okay, so have you ever heard of Labubu? Or have you ever heard of Pop Mart? If you're a bit younger, I think you might have. It's literally taking at least Sydney by craze. Maybe the world, probably the world. I'm seeing people line up at 3 a.m. for these things. It's all over the news. People are like trying to explain it. Like the news people are trying to explain it to, I guess, their older viewers, even me. But they are designer plush toys. People are lining up, like I said, for them. There's huge lines in Sydney when I guess a new one gets announced. I'm not too sure. This company that makes them, called Pop Mart, it's like a $50 billion company right now. They're traded on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and they're making so much money from these plush toys. And the way that they sell them is primarily through these blind boxes. So blind boxes are exactly what they sound like. They're sealed boxes, sealed packaging, where you don't know what toy you're going to be getting. So people are buying multiple of these. They're opening it up, hoping to get one that is like rare. It's basically the same business model as like Pokemon cards, right? Like instead of Pokemon cards, it's these really fucking ugly plush toys. Like they have these like a little cheeky grin on their face. They look sort of not alien-y, but they sort of look animal-y. Jump onto Google right now and search for Labubu. It's Labubu. And these things aren't cheap either. Like on the secondary market, I'm looking at one right now that is dressed as a king, and it's $250. I'm looking at another one which is a pendant, so not much bigger than the Pikachu that I sold, $250, sold out. So these things are, designer toys. People are buying them. They're getting the keychain versions, putting them on their backpacks, I guess. I don't know why. Status symbol, maybe. Maybe it's why people buy designer clothes too. It's a way to showcase your personality, that your personality is buying blind boxes for, I honestly think they're ugly ass toys, but I mean, they're making so much money. And I'm telling you right now, bookmark this. Bookmark, what's the date that this is coming out? This is coming out on the 5th of June. I guarantee the 5th of June 2026 next year, we're going to be seeing these in thrift stores. If the world is still like functioning by then, we're going to be seeing them in thrift stores, and they're going to be priced probably like these insane $250, like $300 marks, but give it time and they'll come down. I feel like they're just going to go the same way as Funko Pops, right? Because they hold no intrinsic value. They're being bought for their rarity. I don't know if people are buying them to sell them, if they're trying to find the rare to sell, or trying to find the rare to, I don't know, be like the top dog at school or at work. Like I have the Coca-Cola one. Like I don't get it. But that's really where like the plush market is going, where the rare sort of like the rare Pikachus, the rare Brawl Stars things, they're all seemingly going for a lot of money. So I don't think plush is an area to ignore. I think in America, especially right now, one of the categories that a lot of resellers are looking for is one of the brands, is Jellycats. Jellycats is another brand of plush toys that I don't think they set out to be like a sought after fucking viral product like these Labubus, but the Jellycat brand is sort of higher end, and resellers are snapping them up in the States and reselling them for good money. So the plush market, it's alive and well. Do not ignore it. When I go to the thrift, I'm always looking at the plush. I'm not so looking at like specific brands like Jellycat. I'm looking for the weird. I'm looking for the unusual. And if you go on the Flip Weekly newsletter, you'll be able to see that the Pikachu that I bought definitely stood out, because I'm like, the Pikachu that I remember as a kid was technically, I guess, naked, right? He was just the yellow with the black stripes, and I'm looking at this, I pick it up and I'm like, wait, is he holding like a tea set and wearing a kimono? And then I look online and I'm like, oh, Pikachu's a girl. So that stood out to me. And the other one, of course, was the cactus. So I'm like, well, this looks like it's a part of a game or part of a brand. So it's gonna stand out to me. So yeah, don't ignore it. Don't let your personal taste limit what you're buying or what you're pricing. Don't be afraid to price high either with these plushes. Don't think, no way no one's going to pay $169 for a plush. Just list it up and somebody might. Just like this happened with the plush. Anyway, we've got a couple more sales for you. I'm just going to run through them quickly. The Wii U that I picked up a couple of weeks ago has gone on to sell. I picked it up for $100 and I sold it for $300. When it comes to these boxed consoles, boxed is always best. We start with, if we have tiers, we start with the loose console. That's like the lower tier. The higher tier would be like the boxed console, assuming everything's there, right? The boxed console, and it's just the standard branding. So if it's like a Wii U, it just has like a standard Nintendo box, the Wii U box. And then the tier above that would be some sort of like premium limited edition collector's box. And that's what this one was. It wasn't just a standard Nintendo box. It was a Mario Kart premium pack. So having that was able to allow me to list it for a higher price. If it was just a standard Wii U, I would maybe get $200, but yeah, because it was this premium pack, it's gone on to sell for an extra $100. The next thing I want to talk about is something that I didn't tell you that I bought. It was a Cars Piston Cup 500 playset. This playset is from Disney Pixar. It is what looks to be slot car racing, and it was brand new and sealed. I had to pay up for it though. One of the most expensive things I bought, it was $55. And looking on comps on eBay, this thing is extremely rare. Doesn't come up that often. There was 0 active listings, but a couple have sold, and it sold for $240. So I figured there would be enough money there for me to make some money. The thing is though, this comes with one car, like one slot car. If it came with 4, which is the supercharged version, this little slot car set would be worth over $1,000. It'd be around $1,200. So there's a couple on eBay right now. There's one with there's like very few. This for some reason was hard to get, but there's one on eBay for $1,200, 11 people watching it. There's one for $800 with 33 people watching it. But there's something about cars. I don't understand why, but there's something about it that just makes it incredibly popular to people. Now, when I was doing my research on cars, because it's a franchise that I'm aware of to find in thrift stores or garage sales, I came across something that blew my mind, right? What you want to be doing is keeping an eye out for the Cars movie, the very first one, on video cassette, so on VHS. It was the very last Disney film to be released on a VHS. It wasn't available to the general public. You had to be a Disney movie member and you had to fill out a form and order it. You couldn't go to your local store and pick it up. You had to fill out the form. And the average sale price over the past 2 months for that VHS has been about $1,500. Now, I'm not talking about sealed VHS. I'm not talking about graded VHS. I'm talking about just the standard VHS. Just the video cassette. It doesn't matter if it's not in the best condition. It is literally, there's no strings attached. It's just the Cars VHS. They're all selling for over $1,000. So this category, this fucking movie Cars is huge. You know, I've just sold that slot car set. I don't even know if it's a slot car set. I didn't look too much into it, but I just sold it for what was it? $200. It was a marketplace deal. It sold in less than a week. It may have even been a couple of days. I put it on eBay for $250. I put it on Marketplace for $200. It sold. It even arrived. Like, I bought this week. I sold it this week. I shipped it this week, and it arrived today. So all of that has been done just this week, and I've made not huge profits. I made good profits from it. But this video cassette, I can just picture. Going to a garage sale and seeing a big pile of like old kids movies, and you know, if you see that cars video, man, put it on eBay and you're going to make over $1,000. The next item is also something that I didn't talk to you about. It is a piece of clothing. It's an AFL jersey. We don't get many AFL jerseys where I am. I think Melbourne is a bit more of like an AFL town than Sydney, than New South Wales. So I found it and I was like, okay, caught my eye, like I said, because we don't get many down here. AFL, Australian football, If you're not aware, it's just basically like it's just one of our national sports, and it's a team called the Greater Western Sydney Giants. I don't know much about the AFL jerseys. I know the different logos and stuff, but when I picked it up, I noticed at the back where the tag is, there was the GPS pouch, and this is sort of like a rite of passage for like a dude reseller, is to find an AFL jersey with this GPS pouch, because the pouch means that it was issued to a player, and the player might have worn it, might not have worn it, but either way, it was issued to them. There's a number on the back of it. So using, some basic Googling, you're able to tell who the player is that it was issued to. And if it's like an older jersey and it's issued to like a player that went on to become a superstar or is a household name, then you can sell it for even more money. So this jersey that I found, it was priced at $8. I found the GPS pouch. I found the player. Unfortunately, it was like a rookie player, like the first jersey that was issued to the rookie. The rookie hasn't gone on to do much. He hasn't lit up the AFL world, so it's not going to sell for that much. I listed it for $100. It sold within 48 hours. But yeah, if you're able to find the jersey issued to a really, really good player, then yeah, you're going to make even more money. Like I looked up comps for player issued jerseys just to see what there was, and they're going up to like $875, $850, $800 just with that little GPS pouch. So if you come across AFL jerseys, always look for the pouch. If you want to see a photo or a video of what that looks like, go to flipweekly.com. I'll also be posting a video of me finding it so you can see what it looks like in person. But once you see it once, you'll be able to tell what it is, and it will go into your memory bank, because if you find it, happy days. If you find one, guaranteed profit, guaranteed quick sale, because collectors love this stuff. Now the last sale, it's a bit morbid, to be honest, and how do I say this? It was the way that I found out that something was wrong with this person. So on Thursday night, we had a $39.95 sale for a signed book. I love my signed books. The book was for a Australian actress / comedian, Magda Subansky, and she's a living legend here in Australia. People know her from Kath and Kim. They know her from some of her sketch comedy that she did. International listeners may know her from the movie Babe, the movie that converted so many people to fucking veganism. But yeah, it was a bit weird, because I saw the sale and I was thinking, like, this book has been sitting there for bloody over a year. Like it was listed in January 2024. So I was curious why it suddenly sold, because sometimes when I sell autographed books, it's for one reason or another. Like if it's a comedian and they're in town, it will sell. Or if they make the news for something controversial they've said, that will come up, and it will, anything like that. But on that exact same Thursday night that this book sold, ABC, our national broadcaster, published a news story that said that Magda had stage 4 blood cancer. That was how I found out that Magda, a beloved comedian and household name, had blood cancer, stage 4 blood cancer. She's an Aussie icon. Her characters are infinitely quotable, and she's a genuinely good person. So he's hoping she defies the odds, she beats the cancer, and is long enough to write another book and sign more books. The person that came and bought it, they actually bought it on eBay, and they selected local pickup, and I completely forgot that I even had local pickup set up, because this was listed 2024. Pain in the ass, but I saw the person's username, and I bookmarked their username, because I thought, I wonder if this person is going to buy it and then resell it, thinking that she might pass away. My brain just went to, this person's a fucking capitalist that is trying to make money, but no. And I know that's hypocritical for me to say, because I've made money on, like an Olivia Newton-John signed book, etc. But yeah, the person isn't an eBay seller. I saw that they had like 1,000+ feedback, so I initially thought, oh, this person is, but no, they don't have anything for sale. I guess they saw the news and they wanted to read more about her, read her autobiography. So there was nothing bad that happened there. But yeah, that was a $40 sale. Like I said, like I love my signed books. If you see a book in the biography section of thrift stores and the person interests you and you think they're a bit obscure, maybe they don't have that big of a presence, or you know them but others might not, I always pick them up. I don't want to buy the signed book by the same person more than one time. I'm looking for different people. The Holy Grail, of course, would be a signed Norm Macdonald book. I found a Gordon Ramsay signed book, but I like Gordon, but he isn't on the same level as someone like Norm Macdonald in terms of people that I admire. So yeah, I'm always looking for the signatures, and you never know what they're going to go for, and you can also really ask for whatever you want when it comes to those. But yeah, that's most of the items that I bought. There's a few more that you can see on the Flip Weekly newsletter. Just jump onto flipweekly.com. There's photos for all this stuff, and you can see what those Labubu's look like too, and you can see the lineup in Sydney at 3 a.m. for them. That's all I got for you this week. Make sure you jump onto social media, give us a follow. I post photos and videos there that you don't see on the Flip Weekly newsletter or on the podcast. If you're listening to this on YouTube, give it a like, give it a subscribe. If you're on Spotify, I'm pretty sure you can rate the podcast on Spotify. I'd appreciate that. I'm sure it helps. I don't know if it does or how it does. And make sure you give me your feedback on this week's secondhand opinions. You can send me an email at matt@flipweekly.com. That's Matt with 1T. You can go onto flipweekly.com, click on the contact button, or you can go on the newsletter and give us your thoughts on the poll, so you can vote in the poll too. So if you haven't done that, make sure you do it. All the engagement is appreciated. And good luck at the garage sales and the thrift stores if you're going on the weekend. Let me know if you find anything cool. I'll see you again next week, next Thursday, same time. Thanks again for listening. It's Matt signing off.
Flip, 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 flip. Flip Weekly.